We know him as someone who has helped to pave the way for an entire city and helped to build dreams from their very foundations. The story of Hale Ritchie has its place among those of Wichita's most accomplished business leaders, people whose deeply rooted commitment to their hometown drove our growth and expanded our opportunities. But within that story, there is a chapter written almost as an epilogue at the end of his career, a chapter that bursts on the page with all the colors and promise of a rainbow. Growing up a Ritchie meant you were part of a Wichita legacy, one that grew whole streets and neighborhoods at a time. For Hale, it meant you come home early from college when the family business needs you.
I was in a band called Hale, Fire, and the Damnations, and I really wanted to go into the music business. And the manager of our concrete plant was relieved of his duties, and my dad asked me to come home and help run the place.
From then on, Hale spent the rest of his professional life building that business into a multi-state construction materials producer, while also building a family with his wife Janie.
I was a really, really busy guy, but I kept it all in balance, and I think that's probably what I'm most proud of. I'm not sure everybody would agree that I kept it all in balance, but I'm still married after 44 years to a wonderful woman, and it wasn't always easy over the years.
Watching him in a business setting taught me a lot about ethics and the importance of a handshake, the importance of looking people in the eyes, doing what you say you're going to do, all of those things.
Yeah, I have a lot of opinions on family businesses, but I tried to write the book. The entire book was going to be like 14 chapters, and I wrote the first chapter and it was only like 6 lines long. And I thought, you know, I just made my point. Embellishing was not my strong suit, so I didn't write the book.
In 2005, the decision was made to sell the business. Since then, Hale has spent much of his time at the family's summer home in Minnesota, as well as enjoying his many grandkids. He also revived his music career.
A new band started called the Grateful Not to Be Deads, and we played around Wichita for about 12 years before various maladies of old age caused us to decide enough was enough.
Hale had also been an avid golfer over the years. The game provided an outlet for his highly competitive nature.
He'll start days before you get to the golf course making excuses as to why he should not have to give up as many strokes as the people that he's playing against. You know, my knee and my back, and I haven't played in forever, and I think my putter's bent, and whatever he can come up with. But then when you get on the golf course, if he needs to make the 8-footer, he'll make the 8-footer because he always seems to kind of come through in the clutch.
In 1972, Linda Weir Enegren started Rainbows United, a service organization with a mission to help children with special needs. One of her earliest supporters was Proctor Ritchie, Hale's uncle. Over the years, Hale and his family were active in the organization. Rainbow's Eastside location, the Ritchie Family Center, had a nursery that was named after Hale and Janie's youngest son, Timothy, who was born with Down syndrome and had passed away at just 5 months old. In 2009, Hale was in Minnesota when a potentially fatal financial crisis at Rainbow's was calling him home again. He was back in Wichita in 2 days.
When Rainbow's was going through the very first few weeks of the bankruptcy, everybody knew that there needed to be a really strong leader who could literally help take and knit the organization back together and who had the confidence of the community. Everybody knew it was Hale.
I had breakfast with him with the idea of kind of letting him know for sure what he was jumping into. What really came through was the integrity that he had and the passion for Wichita and for Rainbows.
I still remember that rainy morning in August of 2009 when Hale walked into Rainbows as our restructuring officer. And it was a time of great chaos and distress at Rainbows.
I would say there was a lot of deer in the headlight looks when I got there, which is totally understandable. But what I really saw was that the staff was incredibly capable. I let them tell me what needed to happen, and I said, okay, go do it.
He was willing to put himself on the front line and to go out and actually make contact with these people to help solicit their support for Rainbows going forward.
He'll often say, I didn't do the work. But he gave us the courage and the strength to move forward. He helped us analyze the situation, how to identify the problems, what we really needed to do to fix it and how to problem solve.
One of the decisions that he was faced with was whether or not we should keep the center that bore his family name. And he was able to be at peace with making the decision that that building needed to be sold. I think that was a very selfless decision to make on his part.
And so as we progressed, I gave him a list of phrases he could no longer use describing rainbows. Some were like, our hair's on fire, or I hope we don't go toes up. But because of that kind of humor in him too, it helped in all situations, and people knew he was speaking the truth. Hale helped put it all together, that restructuring plan that we needed to have in order to save rainbows. There was a party for the staff that the board put on in 2010, and Hale's band at the time played for it, and staff wore t-shirts that on the back said, "Hale's our hero." Everybody feels that way about him here.
I've watched Hale's impact for a lot of years with the Chamber, and at that time it was the WISE Partnership for Growth. And we're truly living under the trees that Hale planted in the community 20 years ago. And now, with what he's done with rainbows, it's another tree that we're going to live under for a long time.
I think that's always been his philosophy, I guess, is if not me, who? And if not now, when?
I looked up the word uncommon, and it's defined as exceptional or remarkable. And I think those are really descriptive words of Hale Ritchie. And I think the community, Rainbows, our board of directors, myself, the staff, are better people for knowing Hale and having him in our lives.
At the end of this Rainbow's trials, there was a heart of gold to save it. But how does a story end that is all about new beginnings? And what do we say about the man who came home to write these extraordinary chapters in our city's history? We could say that he has changed our future for the better, that his efforts inspired a whole community. In the end, what we should say about Hale Ritchie is simply that we hope he continues to write new chapters.